I'm getting nothing. Survivor Specialist Phil and Weller back. Episode 11 of Survivor Kaoh Rong is over. We had an almost huge move.
And the Survivor Specialists are here too. Phil and Will to break it down. You're just completely forgetting that already.
What do you mean I'm forgetting that already? What are you talking about?
You said Survivor is back. You didn't. We're working on branding here, Phil.
I didn't say. I definitely thought I said Survivor Specialist Phil and Will are back.
It's either you forgot or internet is going to be brutal, or both.
Internet's going to be brutal, taking forever to load. All right, man. Let's rage through this. I mean, this is going to be the end of Johnny Beer Tech. Probably the kid's probably crying his eyes out right now. I don't blame him. There goes Julia, poor little Julia. But Will, you claim that you didn't know who was going home tonight at Tribal.
That's
thus
right.
Proving everybody wrong. That's the biggest shocker out of anything.
I don't know why that. It's not even. I don't think that crazy of something to say that when you do know who's going home, especially when you watch it with an eye to the listeners and viewers, they watch it with kind of this really analytical eye, and oftentimes you can tell who's going before the immunity challenge even starts. Sometimes you can tell headed into Tribal. Sometimes once the immunity challenge is over, a lot of times, a lot of kind of checkpoints. I still don't know. When they're going to vote, that's the last checkpoint. And at that checkpoint, I was like, man, Ty really could go here. It was totally a possibility. So I love this episode. I enjoyed it a lot. We had a lot of, we're not going to get into a really heavy debate because there really wasn't any move done. I guess the main question will be is, did Michele and Cydney make the right move? And I say probably not. I think this was a perfect time to get out Ty, especially because he didn't play his idol or use his extra vote. You send a really, really threatening player away and two advantages that could really screw up your own game. So I think they made a bad move. And it's not like they took out anybody that was that bad. I think Julia, Audrey was talking about how she's a big threat, and I think she is a big threat, but it's not, she would have worked with you. She and Michele, they had a really good relationship. If you're Michele, I think you want someone like Julia still around so that later down the road, when you do want to flip on Audrey, when you do want to flip on Joe, you want her there. You need her vote. She's probably more willing to work with you than Kyle, even though Kyle will work with anyone at the bottom. I just think, just from that point of view, Michele made the wrong move. And then Cydney as well.
I think this was mainly on Cydney, though. I think that Michele was willing to do it because Michele was so tight with Julia. Cydney's not that tight with Kyle, and I think that's what kind of played into this decision. Yeah, it looks like a bad move from both of them, but it makes no sense for Michele to vote with the others if Cydney's not 100% on board.
Of course.
And I really do 100% feel like Cydney was the one who wasn't on board. I think showing Michele crying at the end, Michele was willing to work with Julia and Kyle. They couldn't get Cydney to do it. I think this is a huge missed opportunity. Jason, Kyle, whatever the hell I'm going to call him tonight, I haven't decided yet. I thought his pitch was perfect to Cydney. She had nothing to lose. Nothing. Because either you vote out Ty and his idol goes with him, or Ty plays the idol and Julia or Scott or Kyle goes. And if Audrey and stuff really want to hold it over your head that you flipped, all you have to do is sit there and go, well, screw you. I'm going with whoever's left over. Me, it's Cydney, Michele, and whoever's left over. We're going to be three, and you guys are going to have to draw rocks if you want to stay in the game, if you're going to give us this hard of a time about it. And I think that's the move you have to make there. And I think Cydney and Michele really didn't have anything to lose here. This was their big move. And all these other big moves have been played up as Audrey's, and I know Cydney's had a big say in them, but this was their time to make a really big move and get Ty out of there.
In addition to that, I don't think Audrey and Joe would be kind of all that ticked off about it. Ty hasn't been in their alliance for that long. It's only been 3 days that he's been kind of with them and in on these conversations. You take out someone like Ty, it's not like Aubrey's going to go, what are you doing? That was Ty, our loyal alliance member. So there's that to think about too. I guess, and I know what you're saying about Cydney not being on board. That's why Michele had to write Julia, and I see that. Michele doesn't want to flip and vote against the majority for absolutely no reason when she knows Cydney isn't. I get that, but we did get that confessional from Michele, and maybe this was just editing, kind of putting this more into Michelle's hands than it actually was. But she was saying, I'm weighing my options here. I have to decide who I want to go with. And earlier parts of the episode, it definitely seemed like Michele was totally on board, and it was Cydney. But by the end, going to tribal, I think they were really kind of two brains working on this one decision at once, and they kind of came to that conclusion. Maybe Michele was more open to it, but if Michele really wanted to make this move, I feel like she could have done more convincing of Cydney. Obviously, we don't see everything out there, but I don't know if Michele was ever wholeheartedly on Ty, like 100%. It was definitely, she was weighing both options the entire time.
She was definitely weighing both options. I just think that had Cydney said, Michele, I'm voting for Ty, Michele would have been like, okay, I'm down. But if Michele says, I'm voting for Ty, I think Cydney's like, wait a second. I don't know about this. And I think that's where this comes in. Let me ask you something completely different. And I know we're talking mainly about tribal, but should Audrey have told Ty to play his idol?
I don't know. That's a good question. That kind of leads me to another question and another point about against Ty was so, it was right in the open. It was blatant. I feel like if your goal is to blindside Ty and not have him play his idol, then tell Jeff, you know what, it's me or Julie tonight, and then make it kind of like a pre-merge episode where it's one of two people going home who are on the bottom. Who's bringing more to, and obviously not talking about who's bringing more to the tribe, but something like that. Who's more of a threat to win the game, and have Kyle and Julia kind of play off each other as, you know, Julia can say Kyle's good. He's crazy. You see what he's done at tribal. He's admitting to being crazy. He's going to stir your game up. He's always playing the game 100% hard, and then you can have Kyle kind of throwing Julia under the bus saying she's a huge threat to win. She's likable. She's playing both sides, blah, 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 and then go for Ty. Instead of saying Ty, Ty, Ty. I mean, I'm shocked that Ty didn't actually end up playing this idol. I mean,
I think what this – see, and I started thinking as this tribal went on that Ty wasn't going. And I think what this was, it was more a frustration from Kyle and Julia because I bet they knew at this point that that one of them was going home. I bet they knew that they couldn't convince people to get Ty, and that's why they were just ramming it on Ty, because they knew that one of them was going home. So screw it. Let's point out all the flaws in Ty's game. Yeah, the best we're going to do here is we're going to get the majority of votes, and he's going to play his idol, and one of us is going to go home anyway. At least that's what they're thinking. If I'm Audrey, after all of those speeches go on, if Ty asks me, should I play my idol, I honestly look at him and say, you know what, Ty? I think you should because I'm not sure. And you know what? That's just good gameplay because then when Ty gets voted out and the idol was complete, or when Ty's still in the game and the idol's flushed and it was completely unnecessary for him to play it, Audrey can just be like, sorry, Ty, I didn't have a good feeling. Now you got rid of the idol and now Ty's almost useless. And I just think that's good gameplay because you shouldn't have asked her. You know what I mean? So I think that she should have said, yeah, maybe I think you should. Screw it.
I agree with you there. I was very surprised that Ty didn't play it. And I totally agree with you. It was frustration by Julia and Kyle. They knew they weren't getting these votes. But even if I'm Ty and I'm sitting there, and especially because you have an extra vote, like you're not empty-handed when you play this idol. And obviously this was a good decision, like from Ty, just to fight through that and sit there probably for an hour, just hearing how much of a threat you are and how many advantages you have. And then it's like, yeah, I'll trust this alliance that I've been in with 3 days. Like that takes balls. So I guess we should give credit to Ty here as well. I was just very surprised that he didn't end up playing it. We'll get, I guess.
Ty's in the Final Four now. As long as he's not a medevac, I think Ty's going to the Final Four. Because I'll tell you what, and I know we keep playing up this third medevac and we should talk about this episode, but this has to do with the episode. At the end of that preview for next week, they showed Audrey at the end crying and she said, this one hurts. That's Joe getting medevac. 100%. Like, not 100. I'm going to go 99% that's Joe getting medevac. Why is she crying saying this one hurts? It's nothing to do with anybody backstabbing her.
Yeah, they made it up. They made it kind of sound like it had to do with gameplay and strategy, but no one really cries because of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The other possibility is that it is loved one visits. The loved ones come. I don't know. They usually do kind of tease that in the preview, but maybe not here because they want to build up suspense and she has to say goodbye to, you know, her sister or boyfriend or something. And she goes, this one's tough. Like that's really, that's another possibility. But we'll get there Sunday, Phil. Don't ruin our Sunday podcast.
I'm sorry. I just had to. I just had to. Because now I'm thinking Ty's in the Final Four, and this is a great move by Ty. I mean, honestly, you could call Ty MVP tonight because he played perfectly. He's still got the idol and the advantage, and he's still in the majority alliance. And Mark the Chicken's alive. What went wrong for Ty tonight? Absolutely nothing.
Honestly, the whole episode, I was thinking Ty was just on very thin ice. He comes out of this looking great, and I kind of agree with you. I mean, they keep using these quotes that Ty's going to go home with the idol in his pocket. I mean, we have gotten about 16 of them throughout this season, about 5 tonight, not just from Ty, but from other players saying Ty's going home with the idol in his pocket. He said again, I'm not going home with the idol in my pocket. If he's still worried about going home with the idol in the pocket, he would have played it by now. I mean, it is bizarre. And we're only down. We're down to 6 people. I mean, he's probably gonna be okay. Might
I mean,
not
the last
ever.
time you can use it is Final 5, correct?
Right. So, and I'm sure that's the same with the extra vote. So maybe he uses the extra vote next tribal, because when you get down to 6, that's kind of, if there is a 3-3 tie. I mean, like we were just talking about, you were saying they can go to rocks. Well, Ty can be like, well, actually, no, we don't have to go to rocks.
Yeah.
I have an extra vote. So that's a possibility too. Let's jump in. Anything pre-reward challenge that you want to talk about?
I thought the edit played up very much that somebody from this alliance was actually going to go home tonight. They were very cocky. They were very arrogant. But we've seen it on this season. When you're cocky and you're arrogant, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going home. And that's way different editing from other seasons. I mean, Scott and Kyle lasted way longer than we thought they would. And Alicia went home. And now you look at this, and you look at who's left, and like how that went down. I mean, they were all very confident and very arrogant. And I mean, Jason and Julia had a great pitch. So I was starting to think, oh my God, Ty really is going to go home, and I'm going to look like a genius last week for saying he was an idiot for making that move.
Yeah, you would have looked like a genius, especially because I immediately called out in our Sunday podcast that there was no way he was going home because the preview featured pretty much everything about him and how he was on the block. I mean, maybe we should stop like watching these previews, even though it is such a huge part of our show on Sunday. But that kind of was lingering in the back of my head during this episode. That, you know, I didn't think. Still.
No clue what you said.
I guess. Right? What's that?
I lost you completely.
It's okay. I don't say that many important things. We can just kind of keep rolling here. Reward challenge. I thought Kyle got just a raw deal. Why does, what was it, two episodes ago when we were down to 9 people, there's a team of 4. Joe gets to bet on one, which is he has a 50-50 chance of going on reward. Here, it's 2, and then 2. And Kyle, if he got to bet on one, it'd only be a 1 in 3 chance. It would be even kind of less of an easy reward than Joe got. I thought this was kind of unfair. I think this probably has something to do with the multiple medevacs this season, that they were expecting an even number. Maybe this was the final 8 challenge, and then Neil goes home, or maybe Caleb goes home. They switched it, and then Neil goes home. I don't know. Something is up with all these people sitting out.
Let me say, and this left me uncomfortable too, because first of all, the one that Joe got to pick a side on, that was supposed to be a schoolyard pick'em. So that essentially would have meant nobody wanted Joe. And he got to pick a side. This was luck. This was just your picking rocks. You should be able to pick a tribe in this one where it's complete luck, and in the other one where they want you. And guys, I know Joe sat out voluntarily, so don't correct me on this. I'm just making a point. But in the other one, if you're the person sitting out, in any type of situation, if you don't know that, if he says you don't get to pick, Joe's still probably going to end up sitting out of that. That means they don't want you. Why does he get to pick? And in this other situation, Kyle doesn't get to. I don't like this. I thought this was kind of annoying. I thought even if they would have just done 3-3 and then put Kyle on the outside, I get they wanted a picking portion of this. I get they wanted a winning team pick somebody. But, I don't know. I just thought this was kind of unfair. I agree with you. It was unfair to Kyle.
Especially for someone
Michele and Cydney winning was cool.
Yeah, just especially for someone who is on the bottom and wants to fight back in the game. You're giving them 0 chance to, a reward challenge can be a very good way to get back into the game, talk with people, bond with people, all that fun stuff. But as you were just about to say, and I cut you off, the best pairing to go was, Cydney and Michele, and then them picking Audrey obviously was good for them too. So I did like that part.
Yeah, and I thought that they would have made a stronger pitch to Audrey to get rid of Ty. And I get they did bring it up, but I don't know. It just seemed like it seems like Cydney and Audrey are the power duo here. And that's why I'm going back to Cydney not being willing to flip tonight. And it was more her decision than Michelle's to not flip. Because I think Cydney and Audrey have a final 2-pact right now, if there's a final tip. I think Cydney knows that she's the third with Audrey and Joe, and I think Cydney thinks she can win. It's the final 3. So that's why I think Cydney didn't flip, because she's not number 5. And she's not even number 4. So I think she feels safe.
Yeah, I also think people had starting to catch on that Audrey is in control, at least in control of Joe. Audrey pretty much has 2 votes at every tribal council, and that comes with a lot of power. And if you approach Audrey, let's say Michele does this or Cydney does this, saying, look, I've already talked to Julia, I've already talked to Kyle, we already have, 3 to 4 votes to vote out Ty. Do you want to vote out Ty with us? It's like you're telling Audrey that you are talking to people that aren't in the alliance. You're telling her that you are actively playing this game. So when you only need 4 and you've already kind of talked to the 4 that you want, there's no reason to go out and try to get that 5th vote. Especially, let's put yourself in Michelle's shoes. If you can't get Cydney to flip, which I don't know, I'm still not entirely convinced that Michele didn't. I don't know, because we saw her kind of contemplate this in her own brain if she's going to vote Julia out. It was kind of played up to be her decision too. But let's just say you're Michele, Cydney says no. You can't really just go to Audrey then, because then Sydney's going to totally catch you, and you might become a target in that situation.
I'm talking they would have had to do this at the reward. I'm not saying they would have done this super late in the game. I'm saying they would have done this at the reward. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't have made sense for Michele to go up to her at the end of the episode, right before they're going to tribal, and be like, Cydney wouldn't do it. No. I'm saying at the reward, I thought they would have pushed harder.
Okay. I hear that. I guess at that point in the game, they hadn't really gotten the perfect pitch from Julia and Kyle, because I know they're on the bottom. When you're on the bottom, you're scrambling, you're saying anything you can to find the crack, as everyone says. But this was the logical, and I think the move that probably made the most sense. And I don't think, Cydney or Michele had gotten that pitch from them yet. And of course, they would be down to do it, so because it's not one of them. Kyle and Julia, that is. But that's probably why.
Yeah.
Post reward challenge. What do we got here?
I think we pretty much talked about it. I thought Jason made a great pitch. I thought his pitch to perfect. If I'm Cydney, you're sitting there, you got to be saying to yourself, I can get rid of the biggest thing. If Ty is sitting at final 3, he's going to win. So you can get rid of the guy with the idol, the advantage. Andrew's going to be sitting at final 3, guaranteed a winner. And the worst thing that happens is he plays his idol and Julia or Kyle go home. I just feel like Kyle made such a good pitch here. And I thought him and Julia played it so well. And listen, Scott Pollard was the angry one in this group. Jason handled everything like a champ tonight. He handled everything. When Ty was coming up apologizing to him, Jason sitting there going, this is part of the game. Jason is a hell of a player, but him and Scott together is the worst thing for each other.
Right. I totally agree. He knew it was a game move that they made. The apology with Ty was kind of cute, but Kyle was, he was focused, and he even said he had to consciously not his head exploding. He needed to just simmer down, and he did a very good job of that. If you're Michele or Cydney, consider this move: telling Julia and Kyle that you're voting Ty, then tell Ty that they're voting you, and maybe that we're voting you even. Just straight up tell Ty. If you have the numbers at 4, just tell Ty. But Ty, you're going to have to play your idol, because we can't really trust you with it. This is, you're new to our alliance. And really, I don't know, there's not much he can do. He has the extra vote. Maybe that's the only limiting thing. But you tell Ty, you got to play it. And then flush Ty's idol, and then Julia or Jason still go home. that could be a move also.
And this is why I was thinking Audrey should have just straight up told Ty that. And I think that's a good point by you. I mean, you can just walk up to Ty and say that. And this is the whole reason why, like, I remember back in Heroes versus my head, Rupert was pretending that he had an idol. Pretending you have an idol never works because most of the time people try to flush it then. And if they're throwing all the votes at you and you don't really have an idol, you're actually putting more votes on you for this situation. And I think this is really smart. If they do that and they don't even vote for Ty, it's like, yeah, we just want to get your idol out of here. Is that a betrayal? Yeah, it is, but it's not like you actually voted him out of the game.
Or vote for him anyway. Or if you really are that, I guess if you want Ty's idol gone, then the easiest way to do it is just to vote him out. But if you do want Ty, and this maybe even if they could have maybe pitched this to Audrey, like, look, we're with you, we like Ty, he will vote with us, but he's too powerful right now. Let's not vote him out. Let's just tell him that he has to play his idol. And then Julia's, split the votes on Ty, and then, Julia or something like that. That would have been fun to see. I get why they didn't, but man, I'm surprised that Ty did come out of this episode still in the game and with both of his advantages. So well played by Ty.
Everything intact.
He's got
everything intact.
I mean, he must be making really good relationships. I'm going to nominate him for MVP. He's the only person left on my team, but he did have a great episode. I don't know if you want to nominate anybody. Who do you got?
I think Ty was the MVP. I mean, Michele or Cydney would have been MVP if they would have made this move, I think. But by not making the move, it was too status quo to be MVP. Kyle made a great pitch, but it didn't work. I mean, I have Kyle, Michele, and Cydney. So if this move would have worked, I also had Julia. If this move would have worked, I would have had the Final Four. Like, I'm really almost convinced at that.
Wow.
And you wouldn't have had anybody in the Final Six, which would have been cool. But, I mean, I just think I can't nominate any of my players because none of the plan really worked. Audrey didn't really do much this episode, and neither did Joe. I mean, Joe, I feel for the guy because he's so old, and I give him credit for being out there still. But, man, he is just in so far over his head. He's so far over his head.
Yeah, I don't think this is one of these situations where he's just a super nice guy that everyone likes and that if he gets to the end, people will vote for him. I've made this analogy all season to Kelly Wigglesworth, how she wasn't playing that hard, but she still had that great story. I don't even think it's like that. People are so aware. You saw the jury crack up and pretty much agree that Audrey was just taking Joe wherever he needs to go. Whatever he needs to vote, Audrey has his vote. So people are totally aware of that. He does have zero chance of winning, as we've said for a while now. How about your girl Michele tonight, though? Huge edit. We haven't brought it up yet. I don't know. What are we? 15 minutes in right now?
20 minutes. 25. We're almost at a half hour, man.
Oh, wow. This is going, when you're having fun, time flies, right?
I know.
Huge edit from Michele. And I'm not going to jump on, I think she's the winner now, but maybe you will because I know you enjoy her so much.
No, here's what was happening. If Ty goes home tonight, Michele was going to win the game because her edit tonight was phenomenal. She's been getting a steady edit throughout. Unlike Audrey, who started off a little bit slower, Michelle's been steady throughout. And yeah, Audrey picked up, but maybe Michele just wasn't a huge part of those moves, but they had to keep some sort of storyline for her the entire time. That's why she was consistently getting confessionals. Because really, to be honest, she's not that interesting. She really isn't. Even when she's talking tonight, I think her confessionals are great. But she's not one of those – she's not like Jason. She doesn't have, like, the burly voice that's going to come across like that. Or Cydney, who's just completely snarky. Like, she doesn't have that. So I was like, oh, my God, Ty's going to go home. Michelle's going to win this game. This was her big move. The edit was all building to this. And Audrey actually is going to get, like, a Wentworth-type edit and go out fourth. And then the move didn't happen, and I'm kind of sitting here like, I just don't see Cydney or Michele win now. Just their defining move if they sit there next to Audrey at the end. They don't have one that Audrey doesn't say, oh, that was mine.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that, do I think Michele has a higher chance of winning after tonight? Absolutely. They did linger on her crying a little bit. I would still say Audrey's in front just because, kind of like you're saying, the only thing with Audrey, though, that if you look at her position in the game, people at this point know she's a threat. She doesn't have an idol or an advantage. Her closest ally is Joe, which that helps having 2 votes. I don't think she's that big of a challenge threat. I mean, she went head-to-head with Jason that one time. But if they get together, we're at Final 6, and they say, hey, look, we gotta get Audrey out. I don't think it would be that hard to do. And then if Joe is getting medevaced next week, which that easily could happen, Liz's prediction could still come true because Liz is a genius. Then she's there with nobody. She's only got her own vote, and Ty, Kyle, Cydney, Michele, who, I mean, Cydney and Michele and Kyle, they almost voted together tonight. So that's 3 right there.
Yeah, I think it could happen, although I do think and Audrey are tight, like really, really tight. It's going to be interesting going forward. I mean, I don't want a medevac next week, but if the medevac's going to happen, I hope it's next week because you're at Final 5, and since this isn't going to be like when Eric got medevaced at Final 5, this is episode. The episode before the finale is a medevac of some, like, that's just lame. So I'm kind of hoping it's next week, and I'm curious if they do it next week and they still maybe – go to at least like have a day or something, go to a tribal and leave you hanging or something. Like, I don't know, they've done it before, they can do it again. We'll see how it goes. And I think I agree with you. Michelle's chances went up a lot, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I just don't see a situation where Audrey gets voted out of the game. Like, I just don't think Cydney's ever going to Kyle. And Michele and Kyle aren't going to be able to get anybody on their side. And Ty's never going back to Kyle.
Okay, well, if we're convinced that, Audrey is still the winner, then what was this edit for Michele about tonight? I think, why was it so large? And is Julia really kind of going to, I don't know, is that all Michele gets, that she was Julia's friend and companion the whole time, and that's kind of Michelle's arc? It's ending this way? Or do we have something more to pay off from this? Because it seemed a lot like this was Michelle's big moment to shine, and then, like you're kind of saying, never really paid off. I don't know where it goes from here.
Yeah, because even the immunity challenge, she was phenomenal. She went out there once, memorized everything, comes back, figures out it's blindsided, wins the immunity challenge. I mean, she had a phenomenal episode tonight. I could say Michele is the MVP. She won reward. She's still in the majority. She had a huge episode edit-wise, but the whole thing that I'm just having a problem with is nothing really, other than the edit getting bigger, nothing changed for Michele. Her path to get to the end didn't change. Who she's going to be sitting next to didn't. She needed to have a move, and she didn't have one. There was no big move tonight, and I hope there's more payoff. I know some people are saying maybe she just gets voted out next week. It could happen. But I just feel like right now, if Kyle were to win immunity, I do think Michele is in a lot of trouble next week. I really do. Because if they try to vote for Ty, Ty's going to play his idol. I don't think Audrey and Cydney are going to vote for each other, and nobody's going to vote Joe out. So, like, I think this was a weak move for Michele. I don't know how this is going to pay off.
Right. I agree with you completely. Even in the preview next week, Ty is saying that Michele is like this big threat. And she is. If you look who is on the jury, she hasn't pissed off anyone. Julia is voting Michele. If Julia is at Ponderosa talking everybody up, like talking to Scott, because Scott and Julia are working together, Scott probably goes Michele if it's, her and maybe Cydney or something.
Nick's going Michele.
Nick is dating Michele currently. You got to think Nick has, some affinity for Michelle's game somewhat. They were on the Beauty Tribe originally. So I don't know. I think if Michele does get to the end and it's not against Audrey, she stands a pretty good chance. But that's going to be tough for her, as we're saying, because she is that threat. I'm not sure why or really how we have 2 episodes to go until the finale. Like, is that right? We have an episode and then the finale, or an episode, and then the finale?
I mean, I think it was Gamer Girl said that the finale was going to be on the 18th of May. And if it's on the 18th of May, that means that we have 1 more episode. We have 2 more episodes than the finale if it's on the 18th of May.
So that means, assuming if a medevac happens, that will be the only person exiting the game. Assuming that happens, then we're down to Final 5 after next week. So starting the next episode at 5, and the finale will be at 4. And that all but guarantees a final 2. So I think we're safe to say, and even if it starts at 5, it could be a final 2. So I think it's safe to say we are heading into a final 2 season. We talk about this sometimes, but I'm excited about final 2s. I love final 2s. I just hope Joe is not there at the end.
I don't think he's going to be. But like I said, if it's next week, because you don't want the episode going into the finale to be somebody got medevac, that's how we're ending it, and now it's the finale. That's lame. Like, nobody wants that. It's like it's pulled right at the beginning of the finale, but at least the episode before it was good. Like, you can't have stuff like that happen right before the finale. It's just bad timing. I think the show would have just been like, hey, we won't have the Alicia vote at this time. We'll have Caleb get medevac and then we'll do something else. Or, okay, we'll just have final. We'll move around some dates or something. I don't even know, but I just feel like they wouldn't do it that way where a medevac happened right before the finale. But I do think we're going into a final 200%.
Right. I'm just surprised. I mean, with 3 medevacs happening in one season, this seems to go into a finale. I don't know. I guess they have to fill the quota, but we're already at episode 11. 13 is usually a pretty common total for Survivor seasons anyway. So I'm excited, though. More Survivor, more episodes. I guess we can talk about this immunity challenge briefly. If you go out there, you're memorizing them all in one try, right? Or how's your memory?
I have a pretty good memory. I would have memorized them all in one try.
Okay.
Tried to.
Yeah, I would have tried to. Of course, we don't know what the elements would do in our brains, but when they were praising Michele and Julia for doing this incredible feat, I was kind of like, I don't know if it's all that hard. I mean, good job by them, obviously, but Jeff was blown away. So I thought that was really my only takeaway from this immunity challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things to memorize, but I mean, you have a picture next to what was it? An ox was with number 4, but if you're looking at that, I would have just called it a boar and said boar 4. You know what I mean? As long as you know what the image looks like you can just make your little own ways of memorizing it. I'm sure that's what Michele and Julia both did.
Yeah, and then I think spider was 6, so 6 spider, and then 7 was snake. I mean, that's just
it was the opposite, but my memory.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. It was the opposite.
Are you sure? I thought it was 6 spider, 7
6
snake.
7 spider.
Well, all right. Well, that clearly I would not have performed well at this challenge. Someone check that though, because are you sure?
I mean, either way, it's funny that one of us remembered at least. But I think I'm right. I really do.
Well, either way, you get your S's squared up. That knocks out 2 right there. Maybe that was to confuse because one of us is confused. Seems like it's me. Yeah, I don't need to talk about this meme challenge anymore. Kudos to Michele. We kind of talked about tribal, pre-tribal. The vote, it just isn't that complex of a vote just because, the majority stayed together. And
yeah, it was a 5-2 vote.
We think they shouldn't have. As fans of this game, we don't really enjoy that as much. Still a great episode. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to get into comments here? Anything else that let's do it. Let's
rip comments, man. Chef, haha, I love how Fishbach thought he was so smart for voting blocks, but it's just a natural part of the game. Very true. This season comes before it, and these voting blocks are, they were pretty much all over the place. And we almost had a new one tonight.
We are voting units. These are units this season, as Peter called it.
Yes. Let's just forget about Peter. And Curtis, do you think Cydney's days didn't seem too happy about the tie thing, in quotes? I mean, everybody's days are numbered at this point. We're down to, 9 days left? But I don't think Cydney – it's going to take a lot for one of those Cydney, Audrey, or Michele to go in, the next 2 weeks. I mean, Michele might go in the next 2 weeks, but, Cydney or Audrey I don't think are going in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's kind of lame because I want to see Kyle. I mean, I just hope even if Kyle loses in the finals, I would love to see Kyle take on a jury. Maybe Kyle wins. That would be – I mean, that's my – ideal fan outcome because that would just be crazy. How does he get to the end, and then how does he convince everyone to give $1 million after pouring water on the fire? That would be fun.
I still want my Michele Kyle final too. I mean, I think I'm going to look at the boot list right now. I think that's what I had for the boot list. I really I just really want to see a Michele Kyle final too. Yeah, that's what I had as my boot list final too. I want to know how the hell that would happen. I just think that would be awesome if somehow that ended up being the final 2 with everything that's happened this season. And I'll go back to Caleb getting medevaced. I said to you after that episode, when they showed Anna, Michele, and Julia sitting there, and I think it was Ty too, they were breaking down, crying. It was like, oh my God, we have to root for these people now. Michelle's the only one left. Ty's still there too. But I'm thinking a beauty could still pull this out. I mean, I'm really feeling Audrey. But a beauty could still pull this out, man. They've had the arc the whole time.
This is very true. And they potentially could just be building up Audrey as like a fun character because she is, we've, made comparisons to Sophie, but she is, I think, more entertaining than Sophie, more lively, more kind of snarky, more one-liners. I mean, since Sophie was fun in her own way, in her own personality, they're not by any means the same person. So I don't know. Maybe that's why Audrey has been we've been given so much of her because we have to look forward to her, and this will be like the story of her downfall. That can potentially be it. Comments. The Warriors they're about to win. It's pretty much solidified. The Warriors are moving on to the second round of the NBA playoffs. Sans Steph Curry, but I think we'll be fine.
Man. All right. Ann Curtis, now I fully understand why Phil likes Michele so much. She's now my third pick to win behind Cydney and Audrey. She should be your number one pick. Although I think those three girls, I mean, it's a great final six. As much as Joe has done nothing, it's a great final six. It really is. Phenomenal. Ty and Kyle are phenomenal. And Joe, I mean, he's a 72-year-old guy. You can't fault him for what's happened out there. He's just over his head. I give him so much credit for even being out there, but, like, I mean, people go down when they're 30 or 25. He's 72. Like, my Lord.
Well, he might go down, so don't speak too soon. Who's our final six in Worlds Apart?
Make it this far.
Right. No, I hear you. Who's our final six in Worlds Apart? Off the top of your head. I mean, we had
Will, Mike, Carolyn, Sierra, Rodney, and Dan.
Yeah.
Tyler was 7.
I mean, it's just night and day. Night and day.
Or was it Sierra?
You said Sierra.
Okay, I did. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because Shireen was 8. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, come on. I mean, it's not even close. From one season to the next, in reality, it's not even close. Steel Punch, Michele's tonight. Could this be leading to her torch being snuffed next week? It could. She's definitely not in the higher part of this 5-person alliance, I don't think. I think right now she's sitting at 4.
Yeah, I agree.
But the only person below her is Ty, and he has an idol advantage.
And because Ty is I think he is a threat to win immunity, that really increases her chances of going home as well.
Yeah. Larry Miller, did you know that today is 1 year after Julia was voted out? How crazy is that? That's probably the first time ever that it aired exactly 1 year after for your episode to air.
That's pretty insane. She got sent home exactly on a year. That's pretty cool. I like that stat. Great stat. Who was that? Who gave us that stat?
Larry Miller.
Good for Larry Miller. I like that.
I agree. That's a fun one. Johnny Burtek, man, dude, you totally missed our point. You owe an apology to Johnny Burtek, accusing him of having 45 different Twitter 3. I know you only have 3, but I was just commenting on the fact that JB Fantasy Advice, I didn't mean Austin Harper was Johnny Burtek. I got to clear that up right now. I knew Austin Harper was a different person. Johnny Burtek has 3. Johnny Burtek, Johnny Talk Sports, and JB Fantasy Advice.
Well, who's Chef?
There's an exaggeration. Chef is Eurostyle.
Okay. Sorry.
Anyway, moving on. Johnny Talk Sports. MVP. He's going Julia, even though she's out. LVP, me for thinking she's getting a winner's edit for the last 5 weeks. That's funny. I like that. Johnny Talk Sports. How excited was Phil when Michele won immunity? Phil was very excited because I knew that there was no chance of my winner pick going home.
Yeah, maybe you'll get the winner this season.
I'm not feeling it, but I hope. JB Fantasy Advice. You thought I was going to stay quiet this recap episode, didn't you? See, I mean, he's tweeting at the place.
I didn't think that for 1 second.
I didn't. No, dude, this is Julia's going. I mean, I expect this to be like the coming out party of Johnny Burtek. We haven't seen anything until now. Aaron Weiner, I have a feeling Jason isn't going home next week. Interesting.
I kind of have that feeling
Jason,
too.
I think it's Michele.
Yeah, I kind of have that feeling too. I'm kind of getting vibes that Kyle is making it to the finale.
I feel like it too. I feel like our finale is going to be like Audrey, Ty, and Jason.
And Cydney.
And then either Michele or Cydney. one of them is going to win immunity at Final Five or something and sneak in or something crazy. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe even Ty flips back to Jason. Who knows? Whoa, what the hell just happened there? Austin Harper, really hope we cleared the air earlier. This is my first account. I sometimes tweet on my second account is just better. It's all clear. And Curtis, what's with people winning both reward and immunity? Is Probst right? Is it the food? I hope that's not the only reason. I just think this was a really good challenge for Michele.
Yeah. I mean, the two people that were there in the end were Julia and Michele, who – wait, no, Julia didn't go on reward. So there you go. There's your proof that it doesn't matter. Julia was very close to winning it. There you go.
Just a really good challenge for Michele. It's her, it's her challenge. Hang on. Let's see. Harold Rice. How does Julia compare to the other young players such as Natalie T, Brandon Hance, and Spencer from Tokyo? I think Julia was phenomenal. I'm surprised she's not being mentioned in that season 30 forecast. She plays the game, and she's really young and an underdog. I think she was phenomenal.
Yeah, we didn't really give Julia a send-off. I don't need to see her play again. I don't think she was all that interesting, but I love how she brought it, and her final words were perfect for someone of her age, and she was probably told by people that, young females really tend to grapple onto someone stronger, bigger, who knows the game better, or that will protect them, things like that, and she never let that happen, bouncing between alliances. I was a fan of Julia's, but just because you're a fan of someone doesn't mean you need to see them play again. I think her story finished out fine. I'm also surprised that Frosty didn't get mentioned in that comment. I think he was pretty young when he first played. But yeah, again, 19. Kudos to Julia. Big fan.
Yeah, I just, Julia is one of those people when they bring back these women players. They brought back Danielle DiLorenzo. They brought back Candice, 3 times? I think it was 3. Anyway, I get yelled at for exaggerating. But, Julia is one of those where it's you hope that she would take one of those spots. Okay. If they're really looking at it and it's we need a young, hot girl who's going to strategize. Julia did it perfectly this season. I mean, she brought some serious entertainment to this season. She really did.
I agree. And if you're looking at that from that perspective, that inevitably they're going to bring someone back who's not as qualified as Julia, then yeah, obviously I want Julia. But when she leaves, to immediately say, what's my yes or no take immediately? Probably no. I don't need to see her, but you make a good point.
Yeah. Nice. Of course, we get this question. How does Julia compare to Julia from Carmoen, Julie from 22, and Julie Berry? God, who was Julie in 22? Oh, God, Julie Berry is the only other one that can even compare to this Julia.
Yeah, I think
the rest of them are wow.
I think Julia is probably the best Julia to have played. Definitely not Julie from San Juan del Sur. Yeah. That's for sure.
Or Julie from Redemption. I mean, at least Julie from Redemption Island played. Julia from Caramoan, she was bad. Yeah, no, it's Julia and then Julie Berry. And Julie Berry gets extra points just because Chris brought her hat. So really, it's all because of Chris that Julie Berry moves up.
Exactly.
Tom Azenberg, Warriors game is a blowout because Rockets are trash. So podcast, we're doing it now. Larry Miller, it's 2 of each B tribe. Any thoughts? I think this is why they start with 3 tribes. Because look how even it is at the end. This has been such an unpredictable season.
Right. And on top of that reward challenge, they even celebrated, 1 of each being on that reward. So I think you're right. Who's the first tribe to be completely down to 0, though?
I would say,
or maybe it's a final 3, shockingly.
Man, that is tough.
And then it's 1 of each.
It might be a final 3 of each.
Yeah.
My gut tells me Beauty is going to be the first one to go, just because I don't think Michele or Ty makes the final 2. But based on how big Michelle's edit was tonight, if she survives next week, I think her and Audrey might be the final 2. So it's real. This is a crazy season. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. This is fun.
Question.
I think, I even said this on Sunday or Monday when we did the prediction episode, that Michele losing is very likely in the final 2. So I think Aubrey's still the front runner. That's probably it. So I guess I would say Brawn will be the first to lose all their members.
Yeah. Larry Miller or each say damn like chicken did in China. I absolutely cannot. I'm not even going to attempt it. Let's see. Jimmy O'Connor. I really like Mark's chances of making Final Tribal. Ties his meat shield, and only person who was targeting him is gone. And this leads into Giovanni Oriana. What do you think of that weird intro with Mark the Chicken? Is this jumping the shark or jumping the mark? Did you see this? The Mark the Chicken's blowing up right now.
Yeah, he is. I don't think we've ever had an animal as popular. I mean, I can imagine the pelican back in Pearl Islands with Austin. I mean, that
And
was
Rupert
that.
Snake. And Rupert's.
Wait, was that right? Was that in Pearl Islands, the pelican?
Yeah. It was the pelican on that tribe, Rupert.
Yeah, I mean, but those were, I think, one episode each. Like, they didn't get like a storyline almost. I think we've had Mark the Chicken from the very first episode, like in the premiere. And then he still lasted, gets talked about all the time. He was in previously on Survivor. He was in the intro. I mean, he really is killing it. He's having a good showing. And I think the editors are definitely playing up to, like, you know, social media age that we live in, that people are going to fall in love with the dumb chicken just because it's getting airtime.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Dumb. Don't call it dumb. It's a smart chicken. Jimmy O'Connor. Jason really impressed me tonight. I got some Chris Doherty vibes from him. Jason can pull the Chris Doherty and just win this thing.
The whole sabotage, it was just so dumb. And I think he's out there on the island thinking that it worked because they did kind of cannibalize themselves and vote out Debbie. But he's playing a great game besides that. I mean, he is a little arrogant, yeah, but come on. He hasn't done anything that bad besides that one thing. So I still have a little bit of hope.
I think he has a good case if he makes it to the end. Giovanni Oriana, do you think Audrey gets Flintworth? I think I could see that happening, but I really think Aubrey's going to win. And if it wouldn't be fourth, I think she would get third.
Yeah, I don't see these Wentworth comparisons as much as other people are. Wentworth did not have like an overwhelmingly huge edit. She was competing with Jeremy and Spencer for airtime pretty much until she went home. I mean, since the beginning of that season. This, Audrey has just dominated. So I don't really compare Wentworth and Audrey on the same level edit-wise.
Chef, guys, you're both wrong. Spider was 8, 100%. Chef, you're 100% wrong. Conor McGregor tattoo was 11. I know Spider and Snake were 6 and 7 because I remember saying to myself, there's your S's.
Right, exactly.
It was not 8.
Now we really need confirmation on this.
Yeah.
I might
Tom Azenberg.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm going to read Tom Azenberg's question. Is it just me or was Michele hotter than usual this episode? It's just you. She's really, really hot every episode.
Yeah, no, she's been like that.
That's it for Twitter, though. All season. Zachary Valentine, any chance the 3 on the reward end up the final 3?
I don't think there's.
I thought that's kind of what it was setting up for. I just think Michele has a tough route to get there.
Yeah, and again, with how many episodes we have left to get, I'm just saying we don't. The final 3 is so unlikely at this point. Like, it really is.
I think they're just saying like that could be the final 3 people left in the game, and I think that very well could be.
Okay. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me because you have Ty and Kyle, your big characters that get far but don't quite make it, and then Joe's the medevac. So that makes sense. We do have some comments on our Sunday prediction episode that are about this episode because we hadn't started this yet. So if we can go there, we have OJ Bill Fogel. Have you noticed that the last person to win without having an idol was Denise in season 25? So the last 6 seasons, the person that won had an idol at some point. So does Ty win and history repeats itself? Again, I'm a huge fan of people pulling out these stats, so keep these coming. And I think that streak breaks for sure. I don't think Ty has any chance to win, really. He's just
Kyle has an idol too.
That's right. I don't think he has much of a chance either.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, there's.
I would just
some
say
things, you know.
our three front runners of Final Six are Audrey, Michele, and Cydney, and none of them have had an idol in their pocket the whole season. So I think it's a good chance that that streak ends.
Mm-hmm. You gonna keep going with those?
Sure. I am still trying to look up Spider and Snake here.
I got this then. I got this. Johnny Talks Sports. At the middle of the immunity challenge, you were both like, oh my God, Julia may actually win this challenge, and Johnny Birdtech's power rankings maybe right after all. I had that a little bit. I thought she might be able to pull it out. And then Johnny Talks Sports. So before we put the Julia talk to an end, will she be on the Heroes Tribe or the Villains Tribe for season 34? She's not going to be on season 34, Johnny, but keep holding out until you see that finalized cast.
Well, who would she be, though? That is kind of an interesting question because often the young 18-year-old girl is like a hero, and then Julia kind of played both sides, but she never really went through with any of her moves. She kind of just floated around the whole time, never really becoming a villain. So where would you put her? I'd probably still go villain.
Yeah, Danielle was on the Villains Tribe. Then Julia can be on the Villains Tribe.
Right.
Jake Johnson, RIP to all the Julia winner edits that Johnny Talk Sports was saying. She was getting episode 7 through episode 11. Benjamin LaFleur, LOL, does Johnny Birdtech still think Julia is getting a winner's edit? My God, Johnny Birdtech is just getting slaughtered right now.
He is. It's insane. I mean, I don't think we've ever had one listener get this much attention from other listeners. So
he's going to have his own podcast next.
Yeah, he might have to do something about this. So I have the final verdict here. So Spider was 7 and Snake was 6.
That's what I said.
And the only reason I had that flipped was because the wheel, it's not like a clock where the numbers aren't in any order. So that kind of is there to mess with you. I didn't know that was the case. I thought it was kind of like a clock, how most, circle things with numbers on them work. It wasn't like that. So they did have a lot of ways to confuse you. I still think you try to knock that out in one shot, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to. Proud nurse crying in the next week on Survivor because the girls are wanting. I think the girls may be intimidated by a relationship with Joe. So basically, has an extra vote with Joe, and he's a major goat. I still think it's that he's getting pulled. I don't know what else she would cry. I don't think she get cried for that reason. I'm not making sense anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on this. The crying has to come from, maybe an injury and there's no medevac. That's a possibility where like he gets looked at by medical and he's on the fence. Because sometimes they get pulled from the game but not actually like booted. They have to get checked on by medical and that can draw some tears. Or it's the family visit comes and that just makes her cry. Or maybe letters. I know we already got letters from home, but Aubrey's is still out there, I'm pretty sure. So maybe she gets that. I don't know.
Yeah. Peter Rubenstein, Aubrey is Kim, Michele is Chelsea, Cydney is Sabrina. But these 3 girls are so much better than those.
So much better.
Chelsea's just like so much more, all so much better. I would even say Aubrey is more entertaining than Kim. Kim just walked all over that thing. Yeah, she was a great player, but like, man, that season was bad.
Yeah, I agree there too.
Peter Rubenstein, where do you see Nick and Michele are dating? That's normally in my nightmares.
Yeah, sorry. I hope I didn't break that news to you, Phil. I hope you knew
somebody
that
else had said it a couple weeks ago.
Okay, I don't think, but we didn't know if it was confirmed. I think now it is. It is confirmed. So that's kind of rough.
I did text her the other day, and she never answered, so I kind of assumed.
Okay. Okay.
Peter Rubenstein, why did people run back in the immunity challenge without at least trying a random key? They definitely have to try one and then run back out, touch the platform, come back. That's definite.
Well, there's also maybe if you try, then you don't really know where your wheel originally started. So
no, it said start on the wheel.
Oh, then there you go. Maybe, yeah, probably everyone.
And here's my thing. Why don't you just swim out, make it a completely physical challenge? People probably stood out there for close to 10 minutes. I mean, I know it's really shortened, but probably 5 to 10 minutes if they're memorizing all of it. Make it a physical challenge and just run the thing 3 times and hope that you get it right on one of them. I mean, and just spin it around and be like, oh, this is the one. Screw it. I mean, especially if you don't have a good memory.
I was going to.
If you don't have that good of a memory, I think you do it.
I was going to make the exact opposite argument, where if you're going to not be able to get all the information in one go, then there's no need to try a random key and go out and memorize 6, swim out, and then right when you get there, just run back and get 6 again. Or look at the ones you need, because you only needed to know 5, I believe. So once you see the 5 that you need to know, then run back and just get those 5. But I kind of like your strategy too, because there's only 8 options where the wheel could have landed. So you have, if you're a good swimmer and you can get it done, it's 3 in 8 chance. That's a pretty good percentage.
Which might have been good for Jason because he had such a huge lead when he got out there. He should have just looked at the board, turned around, ran back, spun it around a couple times. You can lose count, I assume, and just guess. I mean, do it again. I don't know.
What about this? I assume everyone has the same characters that they need to memorize, same number of turns and everything, because they need to keep it fair. So you just wait for someone to get it right and look at whatever peg on the wheel Michele had it at. I mean, you can copy puzzles all the time. They let that happen. Just wait there and say, oh, Michele, you got it. And then you're right behind her and beat her in the word puzzle.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Very good point. Zachary Valentine, do you think everyone still has at least a 5% chance to win besides Joe? I honestly do. I could see any of the other 5 winning.
Yeah, I agree, which is awesome. Because usually it's 3 or 4 people down to 0.
I hit the wrong button. Can you hear me? I hit the wrong button.
Yeah, you're here. You're here. It's a blessing, honestly, to have this many people that have a chance to win. So I'm excited.
I'm not going to put my banner back up. We only have 2 more comments. Zachary Valentine on both. Crab was 8, I believe. I think Spider was 7 and Snake was 6, too. We just proved that. I'm right. Will was wrong. By the way, I officially win the Eliminator Challenge. Officially. Phil does. I did. Even though I officially won it in week 2, I officially win it now. Will just changed his thing. Now he's Phil. He's trying to be.
Why do you say that? Why do you not give anyone a chance to recognize?
Because I was confused. I didn't think you were going to speak again. I know. I'm a bad person. I hate me too. I don't want you to have any jokes. Okay. What else do we have? Is that it? I didn't do the boot list yet.
Obviously not.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, so Will, you got anything else?
Subscribe, like the video, all that fun stuff. Get your comments in for Sunday's podcast. And yeah, that's it. We'll see you on Sunday.